Hello, everybody, and welcome to All Hands on Tech Live. How's everybody doing today? I'm Jeremy Morgan. I'm your host today on this Tuesday, and we are once again building a phaser game. So we're building this JavaScript game, and we're using the phaser framework. It's been really fun. It's been really awesome. And today, what we're going to do is jump in. We're going to jump right into some player movement. So I will go ahead and clone this repo. And we'll kind of go over what we did last week. We did a lot of stuff last week. We added the player, then we added some realistic movements and motions and things like that. And we're going to continue to work on that player part and maybe add some enemies. I'm hoping that I'll have some time to add some enemies today. If you are interested in copying the source of this, it is here at my GitHub, github.com/JeremyMorgan/totallyawesome. And that is where our game is located. And so I will go ahead and clone this thing really quick. I want to make sure I'm working with the existing code base. I will commit it after the stream so that, everything will be good for you to modify. And I encourage people to fork it, to do whatever, modify. This might be the greatest game ever, and you could have a part in it. Let's see. Totally awesome. There it is. So the first thing we should probably do is run the game. One of the things I did after the stream is I kind of moved some files around. So I moved some stuff into a source folder, separated some of the assets, just kind of made it a little more well organized compared to what it was before. And just doing a quick tech check here really quick to make sure that we are streaming where we're supposed to be streaming. And it looks like we are good to go on YouTube. Can't tell if we're on LinkedIn or not. We are on Twitch, so we're ready to go as far as I'm concerned. So let's run this game really quick. So I'm going to run serve. Go here. Localhost 3000. And here is our cool little game. So right now we have the little toad that runs around, jumps. And so like I said, we did a lot in the last stream. We redid the collision detection on this thing. So that the collision detection's good now. We put in some tile maps and added some stuff for the toad to jump on. And right now the whole goal of the game is just to get over here. It's not really a game. It's pretty easy. But we're going to change that. Now, a couple of the things that really bothered me last week that we fixed were if the toad is walking in this direction, it would flip around to this direction, right? So we fixed that animation. We reversed everything so that when it's walking in this direction, it's facing that direction. Another thing that I'm not a huge fan of right now, if you look, it's still running. As it jumps, it's the same animation for running as jumping. Now, I do have some extra assets for this thing that I haven't used yet. So we are going to jump in and grab some of those assets. So let me load up notes here. I'm going to load some of those assets, and we're going to change some of these animations. I kind of want to change the jump too. The jump is kind of more like a float right now. Hello, Thindle. Thank you for joining the stream. We're building JavaScript games today. Building a JavaScript game called Totally Awesome. It's not much of a game right now. As you can see, our little toad just kind of hops around. But in the last couple of streams, stop identifying with your products. Yeah, that's probably a good call. My self-esteem would probably be lower with some products and too high with others. So let's see. Can't see. Only have GitHub. Oh, so this one. Actually, I do have. I'm going to post a couple of links in the chat here. To the Totally Awesome Game GitHub. And then it's playable. If I can remember the URL, I do have a playable version of it. Yeah, I'm playing, because I can't see, I only have GitHub. Yeah, I'm playing a game right now that's a browser-based game, jumping around, kind of cool. I'm going to check something here really quick. See if I can remember. Look through my history here, maybe. Doesn't seem to be there. Dashboard. Oh, there we go. I do have a published version of this game that folks can play. Does have a bit of Roadrunner physics. And that's one of the things I'd kind of like to change. I'll have to move these tiles around. Maybe that's something we could do today. We'll change some of the animations and we will change the jumping a little bit, stuff like that. I may not be streaming the right screen. It's a good call. I'm not. I don't know what stream that is. So just a second here. Let's see, code string. That is really weird. Okay, let's see. There we go. So now we can see. Oh, okay. I was kind of wondering what you meant. There we go. Now we can see it. So that brings me to a subject. Today we're on a Mac, you might have noticed. I bought the new Mac M2. And I'm returning it. And that's one of the reasons, like you saw there, it's terrible. It's a fast machine, definitely fast. However, there are so many little tiny errors with this machine, like that. I'm not even really sure why, because it was showing that GitHub and Photoshop together, right? Those are a few windows underneath the windows here. And I have no idea why, but it was showing those two windows underneath instead of the two windows that are on top of that. And if you've ever used OBS before with streaming, there's a few different options, right? You can stream an application. You can choose an application and just stream that window, or you can choose the entire monitor. I chose the entire monitor. However, it was showing two separate windows from that. And stuff like that. I've been using this Mac for about 4 days, And I've had just the weirdest, strangest software errors just like that. Also, my Stream Deck doesn't work. Hugo crashes all the time. Browsers crash all the time. Visual Studio crashes all the time. Yeah, I'm sending it back for sure. But I decided to do it on here today just to see how it would stream, and I got my answer. And I know in 6 months from now, Apple will get this M2 thing figured out, and a lot of those bugs will go away, but that's like 6 months of hampered productivity for me that I cannot live with. Not for the price of this thing. If it were cheaper, sure. So one of the first things I want to fix here, let's see. Try, you never know. Yeah, I do feel like the manufacturer's guinea pig. It is fast. I just posted on my blog some numbers. I haven't actually written out a full review, but it is fast. It's just really, really bizarre to use. So we're going to use the sprite sheet. Now I feel like I got to watch the screen to make sure the right screen comes up. Otherwise, people get super confused with what's going on. Good times. It feels like a Monday. Let's see if I can find where I put those. Phaser 3 tutorial. I know I put some assets here somewhere. Some totally awesome assets. Let's see, I'll jump into Dropbox. Phaser. There we go. Pixel Adventure 1. So I'm using the Pixel Adventure 1 asset kit, and there are more assets here available. We'll paste this. Copy it into repos, and then we'll see. I also tried a new chat thing on the screen, so I had to set up this Mac for streaming, and I had to reset up OBS, and so I decided to change the chat along the side. I don't know if I like it yet. Let me know what y'all think of it. So in here we have a ton of different things. So we've got some different backgrounds that we can use. We've got different main characters. We are using the Ninja Frog character. And as you can see, we have hit, we have idle, double jump, wall jump. We have different ones. All I've done is I've used the run animation. I basically hacked in this run animation and we used it for everything. So I'm going to copy some of this stuff in here. We're going to open a new tab. We're going to open up Totally Awesome and our assets. And instead of ninjatoad.png, I'm going to name this run. So we'll rename it to run. That way we know it's a run animation. Now we're going to have to fix it, obviously, or it's going to break here. Yeah, it totally breaks here. So first things first, let's fix that run animation. So this load sprite sheet is going to be run PNG. And we're going to name this dude run so that we know it's the running sprite sheet. And then we'll have to jump down into here where it's running. And player movement, we're going to say running left. Dude run left. Oh, and this is interesting. Let's see. Facing left, facing right. This one we're also going to do dude run. However, we want to fix this. Actually, we could just fix it right now. So we have run, jump, hit, idle. We have an idle, so we'll put this in our to-dos. Here, to-do. Idle. To do idle. And we'll put in idle images for this instead of a frozen running image, if that makes any sense. Here's where we're running right. We're going to say dude right. Wasn't that what we named it? No, dude underscore run. So we're going to have the dude run when we press right. We're going to have the dude run when we pass left. And I'm going to copy those two animations together just so we can kind of bounce back and forth. I want right and left to be closer together. So here's left, and here's right. So for turn, we're going to have to use dude run for all of these for right now. Dude run, dude run, dude run. Hello, Coding with Luke. How are you today? We're coding up a JavaScript game. Trudging our way through it. And look at that. Everything works as expected. However, now instead of having one single sprite animation, we have a running one. This is a JavaScript, a browser-based JavaScript game written with the Phaser framework. So I'm using an asset pack with it and just kind of cobbling it together as we go. So we were using the run animation for everything previously. We were like, this is actually part of the run animation where he's standing here. I just chose a frame out of that for that. That's going to be what we're going to call the idle state, and we're going to fix that. We do have some idle stuff here, and I'm not really sure why it's so much. I think it's because, yeah, it's jumping. So it looks like when this animation plays, it's just kind of doing a little bounce. So right now, when we're idle, we're just standing there. That's pretty boring, right? That's not exciting at all. However, we can just pull in that idle, do a whole bunch of copying and pasting, and we will have an idle function. So I'm going to copy this into the assets here, paste item, idle, and I'm going to rename it to idle PNG. Now let's work on the idle thing. So if we get this right, it looks like it jumps. Just looking at the animation, it kind of looks like it jumps. So let's create one that's idle. So facing right is idle. Turn, I'm not really sure what turn even is. So we have left, right, turn, facing right, jump. Not sure. So what makes this framework nice versus something like Pixie? I'm not really sure. I've never used Pixie before, if I'm even pronouncing that right. What makes this framework nice? I can speak to this framework. What makes this framework nice is it does abstract a ton of things, but in an organized way to where you can really understand it. And like this game that I'm building here is pretty crude compared to what a lot of folks have built with Phaser. And so it's abstracted enough that someone like me who's like, yeah, I can do JavaScript, but I've never built a game before, I can jump into something like this and put a game together fairly quick. And then, of course, you know, years and years of experience will make better games. Yeah, this stuff's all done via Canvas. For all the slot games for gambling games are mostly done with Pixie. I've kind of wanted to make a slot game or like a card game just because I think that would be fun. I decided to start with a platformer, but let's see. So These are both our idle states, facing left and facing right. So let's go in here, and we're going to do the same thing we did before. It's going to be very similar. But we're going to call this dude idle. And that just means our dude is idle, and we'll use that idle PNG. However, we're probably going to have to look at the frames a little bit to see where it's supposed to be, because I'm not super familiar with it. And then we've added in our dude. So we need to add in, let's see, now we're loading the sprite sheet. So I think we can, yeah, if we load in the sprite sheet, we should be able to just modify the animation a little bit. So if we're facing right, we'll say dude idle. Yeah, there's a lot of wild stuff that goes into this for sure. I also have a great appreciation for folks who write these JavaScript frameworks like this. This one you can tell is just years and years of refinement. So it looks like I've put this in here, the dude idle, facing left, facing right. I think I may have broke my, yeah, I did. I broke the facing left and facing right thing. But let's put in our, let's go to our assets. We'll go to idle. We can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 frames. So we'll go 0 through 10 for our animation. So for facing left, facing right, we'll say frame. We start 0 and 10. Should make these parameters properly. Let's see what happens now. I'll refresh it. And I don't see anything. So I'll do the same thing with facing left. And 10. And this one we'll want to repeat. So we could actually look at something like this. That's what I was forgetting, those brackets. And we need to do repeat -1. So here, dude idle needs to start at 0, end at 10. For some reason it doesn't like that, so I'm just gonna copy because yeah, that's right. It was got to do this generate frame numbers. So here we can start at 0 and end at 10. So these ones, I think it's repeat. Yep, repeat equals -1. And y. Commas are important. There we go. Yeah, the collision is the collision's the wild stuff. I'm glad I don't have to write collision code. Basically, the extent of the collision code that I write here is just like, here's the things to not bump into. Now it looks like I'm running in place. And when I'm facing right, it turns around back to the left. So I've created a bug for myself. But we can do facing right is dude idle. This will make it so it doesn't run in place. I know that running in place kind of looks cool. It's like a little more energy. That's the idle we're looking for. It's probably hard to see on the screen. And it doesn't look like I can really make it any bigger. But it's kind of bobbing up and down. Zoom in a little bit. Oh yeah, you can zoom in a little bit. Let's zoom in so folks can see it. He's vibing. Yeah, that's exactly what my kids would say. He's just vibing right now, Dad. He's having a good time. But we still have this issue where if you're running to the right and you stop, then he turns around to the, or running to the left, stops and turns around to the right. Now, how we can fix that is very similar to something that we did before. Let's go to repos. Let's go to totally awesome. Source. This is something similar to what we did before. We're going to make an idle left and an idle right, basically. So I'm going to take this little thing here and I'm just going to flip it. Transform, flip, so it's going the other way. And then we're going to export this as a PNG. We're not going to export it into that folder. We're going to go here, totally awesome, source, assets. We're going to call this idle left, which of course means we need to change our other one to idle right. And this is one of those small details that nobody would probably ever notice. However, I notice it and don't like it. So now we have idle right. Save it. And then we're going to do idle left. We'll see how that works. Scroll down here to our animations. Facing left, dude idle left, and dude idle right. Now he should be able to vibe in both directions. Perfect. So if we're running right like this and stop, then he idles right. If we're running from the left and stop, it's idling left. And that's all I did is mirror that image, duplicate it, put it in there. So this could be a really good example of why I like Phaser. Is definitely not very complex, you know. It's not very complex, and it's not too hard to get things done. So doing another quick tech check to make sure that folks can actually see the window that I think they're seeing, which is good. This is where my console usually goes. So I'm usually doing something where I display the console. Oh, here's another interesting thing. Developer tools. You might wonder why I'm going into the menu and selecting developer tools instead of Control-Shift-I. That does not work on this machine, believe it or not, and I have not been able to figure out why. But the usual hotkeys, or I think it's Control, Mac key, I, whatever it is, it doesn't work. So I select it by hand. So now we've got this idle thing figured out, which is great. It's cool. And it's kind of bouncing up and down. Let's see, what else was I going to try to do today? Jump animation. That's another thing I was going to try to do. When he jumps like this, it looks fine. But if he jumps while moving, he kind of runs in the air. And maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe that's not terrible. But I did notice in my little assets pack here, wherever I put that, looks like I need to put up here. There is a jump PNG where he's jumping, and that might look kind of cooler. It's just jump and staying jumped in there. My dude must have legs like a truck to jump that high. Yeah, the That is one of the things I'm going to adjust today too. We're going to adjust the jump height, and then maybe we'll move some of the platforms around. Because yeah, the jumping is wild. So let's take jump and fall and add those to our assets. Paste 2 items. We're going to rename this fall. We're going to rename this one jump. And then let's load them in. Load in these sprite sheets. Actually, we probably could just load in an image. Let's just try loading in an image instead of a sprite sheet, because it's not really a sprite sheet if there's just one image. This is part of the player. So we'll load this in and say dude jump. This is all experimental, by the way. I'm not really sure if this is going to work the way I think it is, but there's always Google. There's always Google. So now we're going to load in the dude jump image. We can load in the dude fall image too. Or did I name it run? Well, I did name it fall. Okay, good. Let's go ahead and load in fall. Actually, let's just one thing at a time. We'll make them jump. So we've loaded in the image dude jump. And in here, I do believe we have, yeah, we do have a frame thing here. So instead of key turn, maybe we can do a dude jump in here. So see how we have dude run? Let's make it dude jump instead. Frames, key, dude jump, frame 0. Let's see if that works. Refresh. Nope. All right, well, thanks for stopping by, Luke. Really appreciate it. It's very cool. Bounce, bounce, bounce. Yep, it's no matter what, that jump animation is the same. So let's see what the heck I'm doing wrong here. Keyframes do jump. One of the things I do is I go back to that older tutorial that we looked at a while ago. We did a tutorial and it has some stuff in it that we can kind of snag. We'll open a file, and I do believe I have it in my repos here. Let's hope. Repos, Pixel Adventure 1. Where the heck is it? There it is. Phaser tutorial. Here we go. Our player animations. And so this is where we originally got these animations from, was from this this particular site or this particular project. So jumping, walking, blah, blah, blah. Let's see what we did for jumping. Turn, left, turn, right. I don't see any jump animation. Collider. Body touching down. Yeah, it does play an animation. But I don't really see a jump animation in here. And I don't see anything different than what we're doing with our animations. So I'll probably have to Google it to see how you just do a single image for an animation. Here it is. We have our dude. Key left turns. Yeah, this seems like this is exactly what we need to do. Which is Yeah, this is what we've done. Dude jump, frame 0. This key. Maybe I do have to make it a, let's see, jump. Oh, and another thing, I'm pressing the right or left button. So I think what I need to do is set a flag in here, like an in motion flag. If we're in motion, don't play that animation, right? I'll see if I can explain what I mean. So if we go here and just jump like this, it still plays the idle one because it's jumping, but it's still idle and bouncing. If I go like this, I'm running and jumping at the same time, so it's playing the running animation. So we need to do like an in motion flag that basically says, are you in motion? Yes or no. We'll put that in our run update. In motion, false. And we can say, let's see, for our idle stuff, we have left, right down, player right down. We can set all of that stuff here. Let's see. Maybe it's the jump that will set it in motion. Cursor's up is down. Play jump, true. We're going to set in motion to true. Let me think about this a little bit. Actually, in motion true needs to be up in here. So we're going to set in motion to true. When left is down or right is down, then that we know is in motion. So we'll put it down here just to be consistent. So if can't type today. Let's see. If we're in motion, do something else. If we're not in motion, we'll go here. We're going to play the jump. So there's our jump. Let's go crazy and say if in motion, console log in motion. Refresh. And it's probably hard to see on the screen, but on the console, we can see that we're not in motion here. But as soon as we press left, we are in motion, or right. So we can change that animation a little bit. So if it's in motion, we want to do the jump one. So dude run, dude idle right, dude run. Oh, that's right. We have this. We have dude run keys here. And we're just sectioning off pieces of that, which is what I should have done with the idle. Actually, is I should have sectioned off those pieces the way I did with dude run. instead of idle right, idle left, let's put those together into idle. So dude idle right, dude idle left for the animations. We need to do dude run, do dude jump, dude underscore jump. So down here, play dude jump if we're in motion. Actually, we're going to make it so both of them, in motion or not in motion, is going to use dude jump for right now. And I can see it's still not working. Missing animation dude jump. Okay. Show. For this animation. Oh, I see. I changed the key. Okay, so it was right before. It was jump, not dude jump. Sometimes I get those indexes mixed up a little bit. So this should play the right animation. I'm not sure why it's not. Frame 5 missing from dude run. That's an interesting frame 5 missing from texture dude run. We should probably check that out and see what that error is all about. Dude run, start 0 and 5. Let's go to run. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why would that be missing? No, this one is not Kaboom.js. This is with Phaser.io for that one. So I'm hearing about other cool JavaScript frameworks today. We might have to jump in and check these out at some point. And thanks for joining the chat, Skywalk1411. Welcome to the channel. Let's see, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why does it say 5 is missing? Refresh that again. Texture dude underscore run. Texture dude run is run PNG. Yeah, I don't know why it's saying 5 is missing. It doesn't look like it is when it runs, so I think I'll probably just ignore that error for now. Let's consolidate this a little bit. Instead of dude idle right and dude idle left, I'm going to change this a little bit. We're going to look at our canvas size. Our canvas size is 352, so it needs to be 704. Anchor over here. There we go. And we've doubled the size of this thing. And I'm just going to copy and paste the idle right into here. So we'll take idle right, select all of them, copy, paste, and I will try to line this up as well as I can so that it looks like it's spaced apart. It's about 2.5 squares between the people, so probably right about there. So this is going to be our idle, our new idle PNG. So click export. Instead of idle left and idle right, we're going to be idle PNG. There we go. So what we're doing is just consolidating this the way we did last week. And we're just going to call this dude idle. Idle PNG. quick. Okay. So now instead of idle left and idle right, we're just going to have idle. Oops. Been doing too much Python lately. I thought that would work. So let's get rid of idle left and idle right. And instead, we're just going to change the frames so that a different animation plays out of the same image. If that makes sense. So we're taking the same image here where we have facing left, facing right. Instead of dude idle right and dude idle left, we're going to say dude idle. Now, if we save it right now, it's going to play the exact same animation for both of them. So we just need to change that indexing a little bit. And we'll say we'll start at 11 and end at 20. This should fix our issue. And it does not. Still wants to idle in the opposite direction. It's kind of hard to see because you can't see which buttons I'm pressing, but we've got these mixed up, it appears. So when we're facing right, we're going to go 11 to 20. When we're facing left, we will go from 0 to 10. Let's see if that fixes it. Okay, idling in the right place, idling in the right place. Okay, so we can pull out that old code. We've consolidated these two things. We'll pull this code out here and we'll get rid of these two because now we have one. And all is good in the world. I still don't know why it says frame 5 is missing. If you look at the animation, it looks pretty smooth. And I can see 5 in there, so I'm not really sure why we're getting this error message here. That's something we can probably work on later. Because the hour's almost up and we wanted to do some cool stuff here, right? So we've at least fixed these animations, which is pretty cool. Pretty big fan of that. Let's see. Oh yeah, we're gonna try to change the jumping to make it be assets jump PNG when the dude is jumping. So far, it's not working. So we can get rid of this temporarily, if in motion. Our motion thing works. So if the player's not in motion, we want to play jump. Let's just try playing jump 2, which we know doesn't exist, just to see if it gets the error. Yep, missing animation jump 2. But it's not missing the animation jump. However, when I play the jump animation, it does not work. So refresh. Jump is available. However, jump just plays the idle animation. So we're going to do, where's our in motion at? I think this in motion flag is still part of it. And I'm just going to do a quick reminder here. I'm going to share the GitHub for this. And yikes, that looks really loud. I apologize for that. I'm not sure why that came up so loud. But if you're not following us on Twitch, we stream all the time on a bunch of different platforms. We stream on LinkedIn, we stream on YouTube, we stream all over the place, but we always stream on Twitch. We only stream sometimes to the other ones. So if you're not following us on Twitch, please follow us on Twitch. And here is the GitHub link once again. To our totally awesome game. Okay, so if we're in motion, we want to play a different animation. Right now, whether we're in motion or not, it should play a different animation than what's playing right there. So we got to figure out how to override that jump animation. And maybe the jump animation just isn't working, like I didn't set it up right. Let's do some Googling. Play single frame in animation phaser. All the data. Visible property. Okay, that's a lot of stuff to look through on a stream. New animation. Frame rate, enable update, frame total. If else structure, yeah. I can take the in motion stuff out of here for now. So we can just focus on that one animation. I just chose phaser because I went and looked at a few of them and saw what kind of assets they had for them and stuff. And phaser just looked really cool. So I decided to jump in. I didn't do very extensive research. I know there are a lot of different frameworks out there, but phaser was the one that looked the coolest. There it is. Okay, so we should be playing the jump animation right now. However, it is not. So we're going to put in a console log jump animation. And I'm sure this is just something that I'm messing up. I'm not doing right. Oh, awesome. Yeah, phaser's been really, really good to me. Not a professional game developer by any means. So it's pretty easy to use for folks who are not. And it's pretty straightforward, and it's been working really well so far. I've been really happy with the way phaser works. Yep, and it's still playing an animation. It should play a jump animation. Let's make sure. This is jump animation. We're taking dude underscore jump, which we're loading up right here. This load image, dude jump. So maybe we'll just try to make it an animation instead. We're loaded in as a sprite sheet, even though it is not a sprite sheet. That's why I don't like the idea, is because this isn't really a sprite sheet. But let's try loading it as a sprite sheet and see if that helps. We'll go back down to our jump animation, key, dude jump 0. We'll go back to animating frames. Start 0, end 0. And just see if this works. Nope. Doesn't do anything. So that wasn't the problem. And that's good because I didn't want to load this as a sprite sheet when it's not a sprite sheet. Just feels wrong. So maybe I need to look at some more basic, like how to display an image on a player object in Phaser. This game add image. So I know how to add an image into Phaser, but I need to add it to my object. So preload, we have assets dude, PNG. And this is from our original stuff. And yeah, this might be one that we just kind of skip over for a while and we'll let them jump in midair. All wild-like. For now. There's another thing I wanted to do regarding player motion is make it so it doesn't jump so wildly high and then rearrange the blocks around it. Whoops. Here. Now up here there is a gravity. And then for our jump, we have a velocity right here somewhere. Well, that's the animation for jump. Cursor's up. We were just in here. Set player velocity minus 330. Let's see what minus 230 does. See, I like that a lot better. That seems like a more realistic jump height. I mean, it is a toad, so it can jump pretty good, but I think just having it be able to jump, I might even say a little bit lower. Say maybe 200. But then, of course, we're gonna have to change the game layout today. Still seems a little high. $180. There we go. That's a little more like it. Now we got to change this because he's not going to be able to see it's stuck there. So we're going to have to change our layout a little bit. Let's do that. Let's go into tiled here. And open tile set. Well, actually, we'll close all this. Open file or project. And these are the project files. We saved these in a folder called project files so that if you're modifying anything or you've downloaded this game, you can use tiled and just change stuff. It looks like we need to locate the file, terrain PNG. And we are now in source. That's probably why it's not locating it. Assets, terrain PNG, open. There we go, and we'll save it. So here's our map. We need to change our map a little bit. So I think I can go a little bit over time just to change this map and get it kind of in a playable position that's pretty cool. I don't mind going over. So let's just blast some of these things out of here. Take the eraser. Platforms. Yeah, we're not erasing any of the ground layer. The ground's going to stay the same for now. But we're going to wipe out all our platforms and use different platforms. Okay, so we'll go in here. This one was kind of cool. I did kind of like this this look here. So we can start the game like this. And we'll just plug in these little platforms. Doot, doot, doot. So what I'm thinking is we kind of make it a maze type thing. And when we drop in enemies, which I don't think we're going to drop in enemies today, but when we drop in enemies, they will attack them and they'll have nowhere to go, right? You're just going to have to do something with the enemies. And I think this is going to be our launch point to jump up to the next level. So let's save this and we'll export it. Export as. We want to export as JSON. I want to browse in here to assets and say terrain.json. Save and replace. Now, when we refresh this, it's supposed to be different. Export as terrain dot JSON. Yeah, we'll replace it. Maybe it's because, it's probably because serve is open. Right? I forgot. That's one of the things I ran into last time. It's not telling me that, but the serve is open, so I can't overwrite that JSON yet. Now I should be able to overwrite the JSON. Export as terrain.json, save, replace. And then I'll load up serve again. And goodbye to that level. We assume. That is interesting. Terrain.json. Ground level. Yeah, just kind of looking at this. This should be entirely different than it is. So it is caching it somehow. Return 404. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. Let's try just deleting it completely. Deleting terrain JSON. So it should be source assets. Move to trash. Now it shouldn't even run. There we go. So it's all broken. Basically breaking it to make sure that it works as we want it to. So terrain, JSON. Both of those. Yep, well, that looks good. Export as. Make sure I'm in the right folder. Terrain PNG, source assets. Okay, we don't have a terrain JSON. Oh, okay. Repos. Totally awesome. That's kind of weird. Assets. We're going to say terrain.json. Repos, totally project files. Okay. First time chatter, welcome to the chat. Yes, interesting, very interesting. Say all devs devoting. Yeah, exactly. Like, what am I screwing up? If I just say interesting, then That's a lot shorter than what am I screwing up right now. All right. We got serve loaded up again. Gracefully shutting down. And it's not finding terrain.json. It's because it says terrain.tmj. I thought I did save as JSON, but we're going to export this as JSON. We'll be explicit and say terrain.json, so it doesn't do that TMJ. Go back in here. Now it's terrain.json. Cool. Now we'll see our new map. And here's our new map. So what I was thinking is our little player, and we have a collision detection problem. Look at that. I wanted my little player to fall through here because it has to go down here and get something with those enemies down there. But as you can see, we have a little collision detection problem because it was just a minute ago, it was standing above. Yeah, I might just make that two blocks wide, just so we don't have to deal with that. Because it looks like the collision detection is just a little bit off. As we go here, let's try taking two of those out, and we may have to do something different. Save this, close down our server. Export this as terrain.json. Be explicit. Yes, replace. Though I don't really like that solution. Like the solution to make the gap wider so that the collision detection works. Not a huge fan of that solution. Theoretically, it should work without having to do that. But as you can see, we fixed it. Now, another problem we have, of course, is our little toad can't jump back up out of here. So I have to give him a little more jump, or maybe we'll do a double jump or something. Because it cannot jump out of that hole. And we could turn up the jump even though it's just limited to that height anyway. We could turn up the jump so it's able to jump up out of there. Let's give it a little bit more jumping power. 220. Is that enough jump? Yeah, collision detection is just a little off here. But we at least have enough to jump up on here, grab up on there. That's perfect. So we'll have to jump down here, grab some kind of coin, and then go back up before moving on to the next one, which it looks like it can jump about 2 blocks. So that's probably how high we should make these platforms. And we could do some of these platforms for a ceiling. I don't know if we really need to do something totally different, but so it was about 2 blocks that can jump. So the next set of platforms should probably be about here, and then we're going to have to create something that they jump across, and maybe we'll put something in here that will swing or shoot at them or something. I don't know. We're just totally going into overtime here, but I don't want to play around with this. Export as terrain JSON. Need to shut down serve, of course. I want to thank everybody for coming here today. Brolenia, am I pronouncing that right? Is a first-time chatter, so we've got quite a few first-time chatters here today. Very cool. And they followed us, which is awesome. So one of the things, if this is your first time coming to this stream, which for several of you today it is, I do JavaScript games, is kind of my current thing this year. No JavaScript or good JavaScript. So this year, what I'm doing is building JavaScript games. We're going to build a game in Phaser. We're probably going to use some other ones. My friend David Neal I do a stream here every Thursday. My friend David Neal or every Tuesday. David Neal does a stream every Thursday. David Neal is quite a bit more of an accomplished JavaScript developer than I am. And he's also building a trivia game in Node.js. So it's definitely something to check out. I traditionally have been a back-end developer, like C# and Golang code or Python code, stuff like that has been my specialty. I've always done JavaScript as kind of I can figure this out to make it work type of thing. But David Neal is like a real JavaScript developer, really good. And he's here every Thursday. So now that you're following us, you can check out David's stream also. Really cool guy and really good at JavaScript. I try to be a cool guy, but I'm not that good at JavaScript. At least not at the level that David Neal is. That's for sure. So we shut down the serve. Replace. Jump back in here. Turn the server back on. So I'm using something called Serve from NPM. It's 150 years old, but it works great. I know that there's a lot of different web servers out there, but all this does is just gives you a plain HTTP web server to serve up your files. So you just type in serve and you can check your stuff out. So basically my thinking is, we drop the player here, goes through here, a couple enemies, has to drop down here to get more coins or cool stuff. Then can jump up here. Oh, and cannot jump up there. Does not have the jumping power for it. So I'm going to have to pull those down just a little bit or increase the jump a little bit, one or the other. I thought for sure I could just put another block here to get up there. What if you happen to go out of bound on left or right? Do you appear on the other side? No. However, that is something that could be kind of cool. So we are doing collision, setting collision bounds. I'll show you. It's a phaser thing. I didn't code it myself. Let's see. Player, there it is. Collide world bounds is true. But I see what you're saying. Just like the old Mario Brothers games. That might be kind of cool. Especially if we change like the way it's done. And I'm willing to do that for sure. So right now in my mind, I'm thinking that this frog has to navigate through maze all the way up to the top to get the gold. But what if we did something like a Donkey Kong type thing, where there's some kind of damage raining down here, and you have to jump up to the top, but you can go across like you're saying. I like your suggestion where if you go out of bound left or right, you appear on the other side. I kind of like that idea. And I don't know how to do it. So maybe we should just see if we can figure out how to do it, right? Because I have player set collide world bounds equals true. If I comment this out, then my player, of course, just falls off the map and they're gone. But what if there's a way I could detect that? Let's see, detect player out of bounds, phaser out of bounds checking. We'll see if there's something we could do. Attach a listener to the object that waits for the coordinates to go out of bounds, calls a method to handle it. I would use bounds overlap checking. This one looks like, I mean, I'm no phaser expert, but this one looks like it from Pavel Mission. This looks like a good suggestion to where we could check the player. Let's see. And then like subtract a bunch of pixels so it goes to the other side or something like that. So in our player, when we first create the player, we create the player here. And then I think in create, we drop it in somewhere. Where do we drop in the player? Right here. Add sprite dude. So we'd probably need to call add sprite again. So this is going to have to go in the update. I'm just going to try this really quick. I don't know how well it's going to work or if it's going to work, but I'm going to try to implement this. Rectangle overlaps. This scene, and then sprite get bounds. So for our sprite is going to be our player. So we're adding a sprite. Just going to make sure to do this right. Player, yeah, so we're going to want to check the player bounds. And actually I'm going to console log some stuff here really quick. Console log player get bounds. This is probably going to dump just a whole bunch of stuff. There we go. Yeah, just a whole bunch of stuff. So we are able to get those bounds. And it looks like it's just pouring out info. And look at that. I jumped out of bounds and then back in bounds. Out of bounds, back in bounds. Which is how I can test this, actually. I can jump out of bounds, back in bounds, see if it flags something. So, this is how we change it. If player is out of bounds, we'll console log where they are. And I just saw that tab 9 just auto-completed a whole bunch of stuff there. Let's see what they... In motion true, set velocity 0, 0, 0, turn true. Probably don't need to do that. So console log. Player get bounds. Thanks for the idea. That's pretty cool. And uncaught type error. Cannot read properties of undefined reading world. this scene. Probably going to be game. Phaser game. Yeah, I think it's just going to be game, but I can see it's. I don't see any suggestions here, but this. Let's see, game physics world bounds. How do you display your scene name? Phaser. Display list. This sys display list. Let's see what this does here. Oh, see, more Python habits creeping in here today. Okay, that's right. We are displaying the player physics, right? Or the player position. Maybe not. Okay, jump animation. I'm just trying to find out what my scene name is because I don't think I've ever set that. How to set the scene name in Phaser. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Maybe ChatGPT could answer. Yeah, maybe ChatGPT could answer this question for me. I've been using it a lot lately for all kinds of stuff. Name game. So, yeah, I should just Google it on this screen. Scene Manager is a game level system, creating and processing all the scenes. So phaser.game, and that's what I was trying to do, is just pull it out of this .game. Which I think this will probably not show me anything valuable, but we'll do this on create. Because on create, it should only show it one time instead of 10 million. So let's look what's in here. Anims, cache, let's focus, input, loop, plugins, registry, scale, scene. That's what I was looking for. What is the scene name? Scene. Inside of game. Inside of scene. Holy moly. It's very, very recursive set of loops here. So yeah, what I'll do here is take this thing here. Let's see. Turn off my bookmarks. And holy moly, we have Chat GPT is now using GPT-4. So thank you, Kamran. Look at that. We got the default GPT 3.5, legacy GPT 3.5, or GPT-4. Interesting. So that's just today. That's the first time I've loaded up Chat GPT today. And version 4 is out. That's pretty cool. How do I tell if a player is off screen in Phaser? Oh, yeah, you're right. Check that out. Thank you very much, Cameron. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Thank you for the suggestion, because this looks like it works even better. This looks simpler. To get the game camera and then check if the player is off screen. This could also be, whoops, copy. This could also be Phaser 2, but it looks good, right? Like it looks like good, clean, understandable code. And instead of player, whoops, which did I name it player? I don't even remember what I named it. It's been a couple weeks. Our player is player, so that code maps directly. So player's off screen. Let's refresh. Oh, that works perfectly. Now, just as a note, a lot of code from ChatGPT is not great code. You cannot rely on it to be as effective as it just was for us here. Just saying, I've been using it pretty much every single day lately. Not every single day, but 4 or 5 days out of the week, probably. And I can tell you that it usually does not work like that. Usually you don't just jump into ChatGPT, say, give me some code, and have it pop out good code that works. But this seems to work. And it's using the camera view instead of the coordinates. So what I think we could do to make this work is we know when the player is going to be off screen. We've got this here, console log. However, instead of taking the player off screen, what if we just shuttled the player over to the other side? That's where we still have to grab player get bounds and find out where the heck the player is. And one thing I could do is console log player get bounds. Really quick, and we'll see what those bounds look like. And maybe we can pull the X and Y out of there. Yeah, so we have an X and a Y of our player right here. So in player get bounds, I'm not sure how you grab these properties. For some reason, I'm having a complete brain fart today. Player get bounds. Bounds X and bounds Y. We need to grab those. And we need to, let's see. We'll just display those for now. Bounds X and Y, let's see. Actually, let's look and see where once it jumps out, it should display that we're out of bounds. we'll console log X and Y enough that we can see the general area of where that player is. Now I can also just do this with Photoshop. But for now, let's log that information. This is a great idea, by the way, making it Donkey Kong style. There we go. So we can kind of see our X and Y here. Minus 24, 407, 403. So we could say if, so like here, it's just sitting minus 18, 448. But we can see that we're at 448 is out of bounds, and I believe 448 let's just try something here really quick. Let me look at that again. Yeah, I'm going to try something silly. So we're going to say bounds, player get bounds. If bounds right let's see, we may not even need the player bounds, right? Because we can do player dot, yeah, we don't even need to get bounds. That's an extra step. We can say if player, we'll take these ones. If player is less than Y or for the width. Let's just do the width first. All right, player's off screen. Oops. We're only concerned about the width right now. So we're going to say if width, then we're going to change, we're going to set velocity, player, worldview X. So if it's greater than that, we're going to set it to worldview X plus worldview width. So if player is less than that, then we'll set the player X to something different. Let's see if this works. Aha, it does. It's not setting it to the right point, but as you can see, we've got our Donkey Kong effect. So I'm took this and just wanted to do a little shout out and say thank you to our viewers who came up with this, because that's cool. So we can say if player is greater than this, oh yeah, player is greater than or less than. So I think we're gonna do something like this. Okay, I gotta change it. If player X is less than camera worldview, X, I think is what we're going to narrow this down a little bit. Okay. So if it's less than that, that camera width, it's going to send it back to the middle of the screen, which of course we don't want. We want it to be the end of the screen. There we go. This should make it go beep over to the other side. And this one's still dead, so we need to just do the exact opposite for the other side. I like this. I don't know. I like the idea of doing the Donkey Kong style or old Mario Brothers Donkey Kong style of having it go across. I like it. So very cool. So I think if we just flip this thing completely like this, it should work. Oop, off screen, did something wrong. So if player X is greater than camera world view, there we go. This should work. Oh, and I broke it. So I've got my things all mixed up here. The longer I stream, the more you'll see stuff like that. Okay. Let's get back to something that works here. If camera is less, if the player is less than camera, then it's going to add the world view width. That part we did know it worked. But now we want it to work in the other direction. So I'm probably just going to have to rubber duck this. If player X is greater than camera world view X, then player X is camera world view width. Yeah, it should be minus the width. And that should bring the player right back to the beginning of the world view. And it doesn't either. Player's off screen. Let's see here. We've got player X is greater than. Why does adding this one break the other one? That's the great question here, to which I have. Yeah, I think I might need to do else if. I think else if is probably better. Because I think that or evaluation is what's screwing it up here. Okay. So else if. Maybe this evaluation. Okay, it's closer. It's trying to move it somewhere. So it should be worldview X minus camera view width. But what if we just see worldview X minus, let's see what the camera worldview width is. Player's off screen. Player at, whoops, I suppose I'll need quotes, right? Player is at, we'll say player X so log, and camera world would be width. I just want to see what that value is. So we'll go here. Player is at 802 and the width is 800. So it should be minus 800 should put it right back. Player X should be worldview. Let's see what these two values are here. We went double overtime today almost. But we're building cool stuff, so it's fine. Okay, so it's 0. So we could do, that's why it's causing a problem. Could just say player X is camera worldview X, which will put the player at 0. There we go. So yeah, I like the idea of like, so maybe instead of crawling enemies, well, we will have some crawling enemies that will crawl after, but maybe some dropping bombs or something to make it, I feel like something needs to come from up here in the sky. Like in the Mario games, they had that, and I don't remember the name of the enemy, but it had that enemy that rode around on a cloud and flung bombs at you. I'm picturing something kind of like that. Some kind of enemy that's up there messing with you while you're trying to do other stuff down here. And so that's a good way to like get away if you can do this Donkey Kong thing. And this is one of the things, you know, as I learn these type of things, I kind of want to write articles on my blog or on the Pluralsight blog with just some of these cool little tips and tricks. Flip the stage horizontally. That would be kind of cool. Like then all of a sudden it's upside down and you have to do everything but the world is upside down. That could be pretty cool. I like the idea. So yeah, we like go back and forth, back and forth. That's pretty cool. So I'm going to take some of these console logs out of here. Of course, because we have far too many. Welcome to the chat, Rexy TV. Hope I'm saying that right. Rexy TV. Maybe a tree from top where it gets 50% of the width of the screen, so you're forced to use that move. So if there's a tree from the top where it gets 50% of the width of the screen, so you, oh, I see what you mean. So you have to use that move. You have to go off the screen and go to the other one because there's something totally blocking you. I like that idea also. Like somehow you have to figure out early on that you need to use this Donkey Kong move. I keep calling it Donkey Kong, but it's also Mario Brothers, where you run out and then go to the other ones. And I would love to see that old code, right? That old, like Donkey Kong and Mario Brothers code to see how they solved those problems, see how those developers did it. I can imagine it's far more complex and more code than what we're looking at today by a long shot. I believe they did that in like assembler for, I don't even remember the CPU. The same for top and bottom. If you fall in a hole, you fall from the top. I think so, yeah. I think that's a great idea. Let's do that. We have time to do that today. believe I do have a meeting that I have to go to, but I think we have time to do that today. So we'll have to go back into tiled really quick, and we'll do an eraser, and we'll just make a hole in the ground. We'll save it, export it, and I will shut down serve really quick. We'll export it to terrain, JSON, replace. Okay, so I think that will work. Let's go to serve again. Let's see if we have a hole down there. We do have a hole down there. And then, yeah, we should be able to do the same code with Y coordinates that will do the same thing. I like that idea as well. I like this idea of like jumping out or falling down the hole and then falling up the top, which of course there has to be nonsense up there, right? For the player to deal with. So let's copy and paste this. And with this stuff, we're just going to change all of these to Y's. And instead of width, we're going to have height. So actually, undo, bunch of times. Because we are checking already for the Y. So basically, we just need to duplicate this part. I almost duplicated the entire thing, which would have made another check that wouldn't be any fun. So players off screen. So this one will say world view player Y and world view Y. Instead of width, we use height. Change all the X's to Y's. And yeah, I really like this phaser framework. It's my very first JavaScript gaming framework that I've ever used, but I do really like it. So with this one, let's see where we're at. I also want to try Pygame, which is a Python-based gaming thing, but oh yeah, there we go. Now we want it to fall. I mean, we could have it fall in different areas, but it's falling at the 0 coordinate. So here we'll probably have to say, this is where we might have to use the get bounds. So if the player is less than, this is when they're falling down, right? Player Y is camera world view Y plus height. Player X should still be the player bounds. Minus, no, plus. Camera world view width. That's going to send it to the other side, I think. Let me check. Oh, we're still doing the log for player off screen. Yeah, camera will plus player Y. I think you're right. I have no idea where it went. Oh, I'm messing with the wrong stuff. Totally messing with the wrong stuff. So let me make sure this functionality is returned. Yep, when he's back to 0. Well, that's super interesting. It just came out up at the top up over there. And that one comes at the top over here. What on earth? So clearly there's some different stuff when both player X and Y are out of bounds. That is interesting. So I think for now, to commit this thing, we're just going to do the X stuff. We'll figure this out next week. But for now, we have player X stuff where it can go back and forth. And player Y, we will figure out. Because there's definitely something different that when both X and Y are evaluated as being offline, yeah, there's definitely something different going on there. But we'll figure it out. I imagine that'll be a pretty quick figure it out also. But we'll see. But for now, I do need to take off. Like I said, I went into double overtime. Got a meeting coming up. But I was just having so much fun and everybody was pitching in. Thank you so much, all of you who have pitched in to this stuff, because it's making this game better for sure. If you're not following us on Twitch, follow us on Twitch. We always stream to Twitch. We sometimes stream to YouTube and LinkedIn and things like that, but we always stream to Twitch all the time. And we're going to be doing some cool live stuff next month. So it's not really coding stuff as much as like we're going to be talking about careers and talking about cool stuff like that, like basically careers, how to get ahead in your career, how to become a better coder, things like that at a live event with some folks with names that you will probably recognize. And we're going to have it here on the Twitch channel, so be sure and follow us. Thank you all very much for coming to my stream. Let's see if there's somebody on Twitch that we can raid.
Not all synthetically created content is sexual in nature.
Kids are so expensive,
and
Dad.
We can raid
now Katie needs braces.
That's why you had to leave our stream to go to another stream.
Save hundreds.
I don't know, we're going to raid Mr. Symbol. Thank you all for coming.
Maybe try switching your car
follow
insurance
us on
to
Twitch,
Progressive.
and we will see you soon.
It's a great idea.